Alrighty, guys. Let's hook in. For you guys who don't know me, my name's Jared. I'm going to be running you through Tgim this evening. But firstly, let's Janus proof this webinar by muting everyone. Alrighty. So, welcome to Tgim, guys. This is where we talk about personal development, talk about some concepts and some ideas that might trigger some thoughts in your own mind to your concepts of personal development and just getting better. And I think the first stage of all of this stuff is actually just knowing, kind of being aware of what it is and the idea that it's even there in the first place. That sometimes it's common sense, but we just don't put it together, right? When we hear it, we go, oh yeah, type of thing. So what we're going to be talking about tonight is hopefully calming that inner voice, or shushing it, or using it, whatever. And we're also going to be talking about law of association as well. So, because I think they're related. So, first thing I want you guys to write down, and this is in, can you turn that down? They've got the webinar on over there and I can hear myself. I don't like my own voice. It's one of those things about myself I don't like. But I want you to write this down. Based on my previous life experience and the testimonials that I have heard in relation to anything, really, it is possible for me. So what that means, and that's a Jim Rohn quote, by the way, and it's one of my mantras. What that means is if someone has done it in the past, it means you can do it. So if someone has, let's say one of your goals is to have abs, for example, if someone else has abs, then it is possible for you. You're a human being, they're a human being. They've just done more work to get it, right? If someone's, yes, I can say it again. So based on my previous life experience and the testimonials that I've heard, it is possible for me. So what it means is as soon as that first person, Buzz and the boys, landed on the moon, it meant others could. They broke new ground. There's a story about the 4-minute mile as well. That was set to be impossible, the 4-minute mile. I forget the guy's name off the top of my head who broke it first. But since it got broke, and it was in the Olympics where it got broken, and everyone was like, well, this guy's like supernatural, right? It's been broken, like it gets broken in high school athletic meets now. So one person does it, people believe it's possible, and then like the floodgates open, everyone can do it, right? It's like Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? With his physique. Same type of thing. He was the first real big guy, real muscly guy. And he said that he paved the path for others to do the same thing. So when your inner voice tells you that you can't do it, sometimes you actually have to rationally think about what it's telling you. And what I mean by that is if your inner voice is saying, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. Let's say use a Herbalife example and say go to the next pin in Herbalife. Sometimes you just have to sit back and say, well, why not? Because this guy's done it and that person's done it and those thousands of people have done it. Why can't I do it? And that's probably a more relevant question. So don't let that inner voice talk you out of things that you know you can do. Deep down somewhere, that inner voice is probably squishing the fact that you actually know you can do it, which is probably scarier than the fact that you can't. I think some people get faked out by, and it really kicks into their fear of failure, that they know they can do it. So, and it's actually scarier than them not being able to do it, if that makes sense. Because people, like, let's be honest, like every single day we experience some type of experience that's some type of either little or big failure. So I don't think failure is really scary us. It's more the fact that we know that we can and we don't. And we let those excuses get in the way. That's what kind of scares us. Like, we're scared of the commitment. We're scared of making the decision because for me, I just think we're scared of the sacrifices that it's going to take that we know we have to make to be able to get there. Right? So the other thing about your inner voice is most human beings, for whatever reason, I don't know why, it's just the way we're made up, are naturally negative. Meaning you have a good experience at a restaurant and a bad experience at a restaurant. Which are you more likely to tell your friends about? The bad experience. It's like a 7-to-1 ratio statistically that people will share or tell their friends about their negative experiences over their positive experiences, which sucks from customer service standpoint, doesn't it? But so people are naturally negative, and once we realize that, that's okay. And you're naturally negative as well, which is fine. Everyone is. So once you come to terms with that, you can say, okay, well, we are. And when you hear those inner voices, you're like, oh, well, you again, type of thing. Okay, you be quiet now. Because I've got goals that I want to achieve, and I've set up my day so I can achieve them. And the good thing about setting up a list, like versus your inner voice, is when you never have a bad experience. When you're crossing that thing off the list and you're putting a line through it, you never think, oh, damn, I didn't do this. Right? Like, it's such a positive experience, such a winning experience that it kills those negative voices as well. Because like, success is in the movement towards your goals. It's not the destination. It's not, okay, I want abs, you've got abs, you're successful. That's the person you become in the meantime. Because if you don't actually change from a personal development standpoint, and you don't become that person who has whatever it is you want, then you're going to go back to the old you. It comes down to your self-image. Even if you see yourself as being overweight, you will always go back there. You'll never be able to keep weight off. You'll lose it, and then you'll put it back on. And you won't even know why. You'll just make those bad choices and whatever. So it's a self-image thing that we have to address. It's not a process type of thing. Like, it all starts in your brain. And back to self-image, your subconscious mind is infinitely more powerful than the conscious mind. And that's why I think power of association is so important. Like, you'll never outdo the man in the mirror, but if you hang around a whole bunch of people that believe in you, and a whole bunch of people who have really good habits, and a whole bunch of people that have really good philosophies that move you towards your goals, then you're going to adopt those philosophies. It's human nature to do that. So that's how you kind of change what that inner voice is telling you. Have you ever trained with people in the gym who are really, really motivated to get to the next step, and you train 25% harder than you would if you're by yourself? Why do you think that is? It's because you're hanging around people that are motivated and that have their goals and whatever it is, and that inspires you to push towards your goals. And in that inspiration process, that's when your self-image will start to adjust. If you're hanging around a whole bunch of people who are successful, it's a matter of time for you. So that's why I really think from our perspective, it's really important to hang around our little campfires, because if we're hanging around people that are all moving towards our goals, then of course we're going to move towards our goals. It just kind of makes sense. How can we not? Cole said something about a tricep, so we'll get back to that. And it kind of comes down to, because they're puny, but we'll get back to the power of association. It's the same thing. Like, you don't see it, like in nature. I really think there's a lot of lessons that people can grab out of nature if they're looking for them. And it's kind of like you see these dominant animals in the jungle, right? Like tiger, eagle, and there's a lot of examples that have been used from a personal development lesson perspective. I've heard really good training about eagles, but they don't hang around lesser lesser beings, do they? Like eagles don't fly around with pigeons. Tigers don't hang around with like cats, like domestic cats. You wouldn't see like like a snake hang around with mice. You know what I mean? Like they don't hang around with things that are gonna drag them down the food chain. And it's a real, like for me, it's really relative to the same type of lesson that you can learn from hanging around, successful people and people that just aren't motivated. They don't have goals, and that's fine for them. But if you do, you're not going to be hanging around people that, like, if you've got really big goals and you're hanging around people that don't, like, you're going to end up somewhere in the middle, but you're never going to achieve what you want. Because they're going to, even if you're consciously not letting them in, they're going to get in there. Like, they're going to get it in your mind. Okay, so it's really important that we hang around those people and spend as much time with those people that bring us up, that are goal-focused, that are at least trying to move and become better human beings, moving towards their goals. I think anyway. This is all my opinions, guys, just from what I've read and what I've learned, what I've observed in the last 32 years. Okay, so let's make a promise to ourselves. Next time, like, let's have a look at our... actually, I've got an exercise for us. Okay, let's write down. They say you're the sum total of the top 5 people that you hang around. All right, so let's write down a list of our top 5 people that we think we spend the most time with. And it's a bit different for you, Cole, because you're a teacher, so it'd be kids. But top 5 adults that you think that you spend the most time with, or they could be really personally developed, and then write them down. And then let's have a look at that list. And are these people that bring us up, inspire us, have goals, support us? Or are these people that don't? If they're people that don't, unless they're your husband or something, I guess, it might be time to assess the list. And it's a hard thing to do, and most people won't do it. But, I guess when it comes from a success standpoint, I'm sure like Richard Branson doesn't hang around people that spend their paycheck at the pub every weekend, right? So I'm going to open this up for questions, guys. Throw them at me. I'll get to Colt. What are we talking about? My triceps are getting me from hanging around you and Meg, mostly me. You might have already got Meg, I think, but that's okay. Already covered her, but that's okay. If you keep competing, then you both get somewhere near me. So do you guys have any questions? Throw them in the type thing. It's a short, sharp one tonight. Just really want us to focus on hanging around people that are going to bring us up. Yeah? Hang around people that make you better. All right, so Cole's got a question. Can you please touch on polite way of spending more time with good influences and less time with negative influences? So you'll find if you're consciously making the decision to get better yourself, that will take care of itself. I've had conversations with people on this call right now that when they start to work on themselves and get better, they found that they struggled to hang around people who weren't doing that. And you learn how to kind of tolerate it, but you can never kind of, like, you just can't go back. If that makes sense. Like, once your mind's expanded to once your mind expands to X amount, you can't bring it back down because you always know that's there. Yeah, so you always kind of mentally keeping that cup full, and you'll struggle to spend time with those people that aren't bringing you up. And when you first realize that, you are like, oh my God, all my friends are so negative. That'll be the first thing you think. And then you'll be like, is that, and they'll be scheduling things with you, and you'll be like, maybe not. And yeah, you're not going to become worst enemies with your best friends right now. Of course not. It's silly. But you might, from your mental perspective, just maybe spend half an hour with them a month instead of every weekend, right? Just because you just know they're not bringing you forward. And every time you leave their company, you feel worse. And you only get one crack at this thing called life. So I don't. So of course you're just not going to delete them and block them on Facebook and then delete their number or whatever. But you can if you want. But I'd be monitoring the amount of time I spend with those type of people, because they will affect you. So Belinda said, do you actively look at your top 5 list regularly and assess who and who shouldn't be around? I don't find I have to, because all my people are people here in the club, and they're all goal focused and they're all working towards their goals. Otherwise, they don't hang around here naturally. So that's why, don't know. I don't feel like I have to. I don't tend to, I don't tend to befriend people who bring me down. And I don't tend to attract people that bring me down anyway, because there's a vibe being a disconnect, like two negative magnets kind of, I think. I'm not really good at science. So I don't really have to, but when I first kind of discovered this stuff, I wrote it down and I consciously made a decision. There was 2 of my friends that were just like, love them still, but they weren't going to move me towards my goals. So I just spent less time with them, maybe caught up once every 90 days or something and had a beer or whatever, but like not every couple of days a week type of thing, if that makes sense. Like I don't want their opinions on money or whatever if they're broke. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't want to. I don't know what else to talk about half the time. If you have friends that are moody / up and down heaps, but you still really want to maintain your friendship, how would you deal with that? Once again, I wouldn't be spending every waking second with that person. I just kind of taking my foot off the gas a little bit in regards to how much time I spend with them. Would be what I would be kind of looking at, if that kind of makes sense, Meg. Yeah. Is that what you meant? Hopefully that's what you meant. Janine said, is it possible that they are trying to be around you in order to have your positive rub off on them? Yeah, it is possible. But if it's the type of person that we're kind of talking about, they won't even understand the concept. Because if they're working on themselves, then it's different, because you're wanting to hang around them because they're moving towards their goals. And they're like, I'm not saying you have to hang around people that are driving Lamborghinis if you want to be rich type of thing, but you have to hang around people that are trying to achieve it, right? People that are growing together so you can move together. So, yeah, that they could be hanging around you so your positivity will rub off on them. Absolutely. But if it's a one-way street, then you're going to be spending so much energy on those people that it's going to take away from you. Does that make sense? So if you're spending, like if they're bringing nothing to it's kind of like if you're in a relationship, right, and it's all 100% effort from your side and the other person's doing nothing, then that's not going to last very long. Eventually you're going to wake up and say, hey, I'm putting in all the work here. It's the same thing with a positivity standpoint. If they're hanging around you because they want to be positive, but they're being negative all the time, it's just going to zap your batteries. So hopefully that makes sense. Hi. Yeah, so give to people what they give to themselves. Help them, but only if they help themselves as well. Exactly. It's a very real similar thing to the Herbalife business. Like if people aren't going to help themselves, how can you help them at the end of the day? You can't drag people by the ears to do this thing. It's the same thing with helping people with their life or their energy or their positivity or whatever it is. So you can't make people be positive. You can't make people want to be successful. You can't make people want to make a change. They got to want it first. Does that make sense to everyone? And I think, and a lot of us get caught because because of if we're on this call, it's probably in our nature to want to help, help people any way we can. So we get caught trying to change people that are unchangeable. It's like trying to turn a pigeon into an eagle. Even if you put a sign around their neck saying, I'm an eagle, or a name badge, I'm an eagle, and you dress them up like an eagle, you cover them with feathers and make them really big, at the end of the day, they're still a pigeon. It's the same type of thing with, Jim Rohn talks about in one of his audios that I listen to about pear trees and apple trees. You can sticky tape pears to the apple tree. You can put I'm a pear tree on the apple tree, but at the end of the day, it's still an apple tree. It's the same type of thing with people. Some people just can't be helped because they haven't made the decision to help themselves yet. But I'm not saying don't be there when they make that decision, because that'll be a positive experience for you both. And you'll be able to bring them up. But in saying that, that's why we work on ourselves first, because you can't bring people up. You can't bring people up unless you're a step above. You can't lift someone up from underneath them. You know what I mean? You got to have something of value to offer them. Cool. Cole writing a question. Oh, yeah. She's got a serious face on too. Imagine that's how she's going to look at midnight tomorrow night when she's lost the quads. Apart from Jim Rohn, who are good people to listen to this stuff, especially Calming Your Inner Voice, Tony Robbins. I found he's really, really good. Might be because Jim Rohn was his mentor. But just a different person says things differently. You relate to it differently, and hey, it might, get into your mind differently, right? Les Brown, Les Brown. Maybe not so much about the inner voice for Les, I don't find, but more about believing in yourself and finding it as possible. So I guess they're related, yeah. So Les Brown's good. Meg wants to master a mean girl. So the book, sure it's on an audio too. I think she's referring to you, Belinda Marsh. Do we have any other questions, guys? All out. Cole's dry. Marshy. Janice. She's probably muted herself.
Done.
All good. Everyone else all good? Cool. All right, guys. Have a good night.